This is the 167th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the first week of February 2014. This episode is titled Rock, Scissors, Paper. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored to you by The Permissioner by Arkus. Mass assign and revoke Salesforce permission sets. It truly is permission sets made easy. Available for free on the App Exchange or go to thepermissioner.com. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me for 100th and millionth time, 167 times, is Justin Edelstein. Justin, how are you today?
Fantastic.
It is a Friday.
Oh, yeah, I love Fridays.
Friday is a lovely day.
Love podcasting on a Friday.
Yes.
Nothing beats it.
It's nice. I kind of like the Thursday afternoon. It's my favorite.
This is like a little end cap.
This is the end cap.
It's a nightcap, I
Nightcap,
guess you could say.
yes. We're back from our studio away. Last week, I think we did in our mobile studio.
The mics are significantly better here.
Yes.
When I listen back,
Yes.
we sound a lot better on these mics.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I sound amazing anyway.
Yes.
But it helps you out.
It helps me
quite
out.
a bit.
It helps with
Yeah.
the timbre of my voice. All right. Well, speaking of the timbre of my voice, we have an agenda. We have your blog post, which has not yet made it to the interwebs, but will be up on blog.arkusinc.com. So we'll talk about that. And then we have news of Facebook paper, Salesforce killing off yet another mobile platform. And then Bill Gates back to Microsoft, which kind of has some funny story to it. And then we'll make our CloudFocus app pick of the week, which I'm extremely excited about. So let's kick it off with your blog post of the week entitled, which again will be available pretty soon, as soon as I post it, entitled what?
Mass assignment of permission sets options.
There you go. So
Quite the title.
We highlighted this, I think, 2 weeks ago when we said that the permissioner now has commissioner. No, I was going to say
It has some company.
Has some company.
It has a native ability on the platform to now mass assign users to permission sets or revoke users from permission sets.
So why don't we do this for the
Okay.
newest of listeners?
Yes.
What is a permission set?
Wow, we're going to go
why
to
not?
that level. All right, so a permission set is a one permission or group of permissions compiled into a set, hence the name permission set, that can then be assigned to a user or many users to give them additional permissions that are above and beyond what their profile allows them to do.
And just if you just logged in, and this is the first time you ever listened, we are talking about Salesforce.com permission sets.
Those are the ones we were talking about. They're great for that one-off request, right? You have your Salesforce org, and you have 50 users assigned to the same one profile, and all of a sudden you need for 2 of those users to be able to edit cases, where in the past they were only able to read them. But you don't want all 50 of those users to be able to edit cases. You just want 2 of them. So instead of cloning the profile and adding the permission to edit cases to the profile and then reassigning those other 2 users, you can now just create a permission set with the permission of edit cases and grant the permission set to just those 2 users, and it gives you that level of granularity and flexibility to
So
your
tell me
permission.
why I don't want to have many profiles. Why not just
They're
clone profiles?
really hard to maintain for change management purposes. So if you had, like, let's say 5 profiles, fine. But when you get into the teens and the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, and in a lot of orgs that are bigger, the hundreds, doing change management across all of those permissions gets really difficult. Field level security, page layout assignments, record type selections, all the types of things that, if you were to create something in a sandbox and move it to production, getting all of those all in line is challenging, and getting a wrangle on what's in one versus the other. I mean, you end up probably having profiles that are like virtually the same except one minor little difference. Or in some cases where you have hundreds of them, you probably have profiles that are exactly the same. You just don't even know it.
Right. So I always explain it as profiles they're big and heavy, and that they're hard to manipulate and they're hard to audit. And then I think the other problem is if you have many profiles and you wanted to give lots of different, you wanted to increase other things for different profiles. Like you say, okay, I'm going to let everybody do, export reports. Well, if I have 15 profiles, that means I have to go edit those 15 profiles. So now I'm editing. Now to give that whole set, I now have to do it. I have to edit a whole bunch of profiles. I would say basics, the least number of profiles you can do, the more you can do with permission sets, the better. There are still some limitations in permission sets, but they've gotten better and better and better, and they're
the real deal. They under the covers, under the hoods, and this is public. I'm not sharing any
no safe harbors.
Yeah, and this is real. A profile is just a permission set. So your profile as a user is just a permission set, but it's your one profile. So like a profile in and of itself is a permission set. So by default, you have that one.
Right.
There's an attribute on it, like when you query against permission sets, there's an attribute called like is owned by profile. It's either true or false. And if you get the ones that are true, those are actually profiles.
Right.
So you
the
can
permission set assigned to a profile.
The permission set itself is a profile. Right.
The one thing I will say as a user of permission sets, and I use them more and more, the one thing that, and maybe you have a workaround for this before we even get into the assigning, mass assigning, revoking.
Maybe I
don't. It's the user interface to go. So I want to add, what do we say? Edit cases.
Edit cases.
So you go and you create a new permission set.
Yes.
Right? You give it a name. I'm always like, well, should I be naming it the thing that it is, the person I'm giving it to, whatever. So you give it a name. Then you go and you edit and you go search for the permission.
Yep.
What I don't like is you search for the permission, you hit go, it says here it is. You say, okay, get me there. And then it brings you to a page that like you're at the top and you have to like go down. And then you have to go click edit.
Well, what that page is the quote unquote new user interface for profile management, which I usually turn off because I don't like it.
Right.
I actually don't like that interface. I like the old interface for profile management because everything's on one screen. Whereas for the permission sets, you don't have that option. It's just using the new interface and everything's on different screens. So like objects are on one screen, visual force are on another screen, application permissions, system permissions, like they're all on different screens, so everything's kind of chopped up and more clicks to get to where you need to
also,
go.
you
so
can't
I don't really like it. Yeah, you can't see anything. You have to click into.
So you say find it,
options.
edit cases. I'm doing this in front of me. Edit case comments comes up as a permission. I click find. It lands me on that view, on that thing.
Yeah, I don't ever use the find. I just know where things are.
But then you can't edit it.
Yeah, I just go to it.
You have to then go all the way to the top, hit edit.
Yeah, that's a quick find. It's not a search. So I don't do things that way. I just go to it because I know where it is.
Yeah, that's one of my. But anyway, one of the big limitations of permission sets was up until that a native feature of Salesforce was you couldn't. If you had, let's say, one permission set or 3 permission sets, and you wanted to assign them to 15 different users, 3 get this, 2 get this, you'd have to go to every individual user, go down to the related list, or at the top, click edit permission sets, and then move over whatever those permissions are, hit save, and move on.
That's right.
So as you scroll went from user to user, the more users you had, this could come.
Right.
You know, you
click from user
you
to
could
user
use the API, but that gets even more.
Yes.
So we built the permissioner, which
Correct.
allows you to mass assign, and then we created the ability to mass revoke, which is cool. And Salesforce has now come out with a sort of simplified version of it.
A platform version.
Right.
It's right on the platform.
Which we talked about weeks ago, which was really about, it's really it's not that the permissioner doesn't do it because it does it. It's that there are some organizations that literally cannot use any installed applications. And so even though you could say, well, why would they build something that a free application does? they need to be able to satisfy customers, and these are the big customers.
These are also things. I mean, it does things differently.
Right.
So, while we can't, as Arkus, build the permissioner like right into standard screens,
they can. Right.
So when you're looking at a permission set now today, when you're on Winter 14, hopefully you're listening to this now, before spring hits your org, and there's a button on the permission set that says view all users. That button's going away, and it's going to be replaced with a button that allows you to assign and revoke users to and from that permission set. So when you click on like the assign button, it'll land you on a screen that has all of your user list views. So when you would click on like manage users, you have your list views there that you've already pre-built. It will allow you to use any of those. So that's where you're going to probably want to spend some time now if you're going to want to leverage this functionality to go build some useful user views.
I always build like active, inactive, log in the last couple of days. Build
and
a couple.
There's admins one. Like it comes out of the box with like active, inactive, and sysadmin users.
I think it's active and admin and all.
Yeah. So you might want to spend some time and build a couple.
So
based
tell
on
me
the
how
profile.
it works. I go in, I create a list view, and then I
have
can
a list view that you've already had to create.
And I create select all or select a few.
Yeah, you can select a bunch, and then you assign the permission set.
Kind of like I assign to a campaign.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's
so
the way
I can assign
it
to
works.
one permission set. Can I assign to multiple?
No, it's one.
One.
Because you're on the permission set, and then you're doing it.
Okay.
So the permissioner has a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more complex functionality, whereby you don't have to rely on having user list views built out, because you can just search for users across a variety of different attributes. So you can look for users by name if you're looking for just one user. You can look for a title. You can look for a role or a public group, which a lot of people have commented and said that that's a really good functionality. Like, you can't build a list view based on users in a public group.
Right.
You just can't do that. But
that's a good use case, because the people in a public group I might want to give a permission set.
Exactly. That's why we built that into the permissioner. You also can assign, 10 permission sets to 100 users using the permissioner on one screen. You can't really do that with the native one. But the native one's going to be real quick and easy. You're on the permission set, you click the button to assign, you select a bunch of users, you assign it. If it can't assign it for some reason, it tells you why.
Right.
Get the little error message.
Does it send you an email after you've done it?
No, I don't think it does, but it's right on the screen. It says why it doesn't happen.
And the nice thing is that they're very different interface. Their user interface is different. They're like, permissioner is search first.
Search first, that's right.
And it was built that way. And honestly, the guy who built this version, Adam Torman, was the guy who came to us and said, you should build it search first. He literally said, you should build this as search thing.
Remember, our initial design
was list view driven.
To drive it off of list views.
Right.
And he actually suggested, and I think he was right, to make it simpler and do search.
Well, I think it was interesting that he then, when he built his site, he built it not search first. Yeah. Which is like, but then you can, you can quick find it. Anyway, it's interesting. So I feel like he's saying, hey, this is a different way to do it.
It's a different way to do it. It's on platform. It's quick, easy.
And the permissioner is, as much as installing an application is, easy, it does take multiple steps. You got to go in, you got to click, whatever. I mean, it's not click. It's click, install, log into App Exchange. Yes, I have a login. Say, where do I want to install it? I want to start production. Okay, click. Okay, install. Okay, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Other than that. But anyway, so that is the biggest, that'll be up on blog.arkusinc.com. A little comparison. You'll see screenshots.
Couple screenshots.
There's
I
no
couldn't really
reason.
find good screenshots of the new functionality because the pre-release orgs are all professional edition, which don't have permission sets in them because they're professional. Yeah, I've heard Safe Harbor that come summer that's going to change, and you'll be able to sign up for any kind of org that you want.
You know what's weird?
Tell me.
What's weird is hybrid orgs.
Hybrid orgs are weird.
Yeah, like a professional with like API and profiles.
Yeah.
Because then you get profiles, but not record types.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is weird. Like profiles without record types, you're like, oh, I kind of like half the cake. Like, ooh, it's a good. Oh no, that's not really even what I want.
If I were to get two, because if I were to if they were to say you can have one thing in your professional edition org, and only one thing, I'd say give me workflow.
Yeah,
that's it.
But then I'd want API.
That would be the second thing I asked.
And then I'd want record types or profiles, but they don't have record types. You can't get. That's the thing. You can't buy record types. You can buy profiles.
Interesting.
Profiles and page layouts is what you get.
Well, page layouts, you can have different page layouts,
right?
Even in professional edition.
Yeah. But you get that. That's the package it says is profiles and page layouts. Is the
That's weird,
line
because you already have that.
But you don't get record types.
You don't get the record whatever. Doesn't matter.
Anyway,
it really doesn't.
All right, let's talk about Facebook paper. So
geeky rat hole.
Yeah, here's another one. So you wanted to talk about it. So talk to me why it's so exciting. I'm surprised you didn't make this your pick.
Well, I haven't used it enough to really make it my pick, which has never stopped me. I was
about to say, when has it ever stopped you?
Never stopped me ever in the past.
You have picked things that people told you to pick. In fact, someone sent you about 6 picks this week.
Someone sent me
about 6 that you forgot about.
A number of picks. Thank you, Paul. Yes. I gotta thank Paul for lots of stuff. Paul, thank you.
Yes.
Great listener.
Thanks, Paul.
Good guy too. I'm gonna get that scotch you told me about. So Facebook paper. They released this week or late last week, early this week, something. I downloaded it, played with it for a little bit.
Okay.
My take on it is that this is Facebook's way.
I'm paying attention to you. I'm just using my Facebook page.
That's cool.
To take a look at
I was playing with it. I think this is, first off, I think it's a really nice app. Let me describe it. So it's a different UI for your feed. And on top of that, it is like a news aggregator, much like Zeit. Now, and it can pull the news, like you can just say, like, pull it from my feed.
Right.
And in that case, it kind of just, like if you like TechCrunch or if you like Mashable or all these companies that just publish all of their stories to their Facebook pages. Like Arkus. You get that in that feed. But then you can pick other topics. So it's like, oh, I'm interested in tech. I'm interested in sports. I'm interested in business. I'm interested in urban whatever, right? You just sort of select these topics and slide them into your feed, and then you can bounce back and forth to get stories from those topics. So like a newspaper, hence the name paper. I think Facebook's testing this to see if this could be the next mobile interface for them. Because I think it's a really interesting interface. You can do a lot from it in terms of interacting with your feed. You can post to your feed from it. You can see your entire feed in it, just in a very different style.
It's feed
I think it's feed. It's very much like just a different version of your feed, but with a slew of other content brought into it, which I really like about it.
This is also bringing up that Facebook is now 10 years old. They have their 10-year-old, they're 10 years old as a company.
Aren't they doing those birthday videos or whatever those videos are? Like,
yeah, the timeline ones.
I haven't done my video. I don't think I'm going to either. I find it obnoxious. I'm finding all these videos in my feed. I don't really care about it.
What I was doing.
I don't want to see your feed.
So I'm gonna wazzle you and dazzle you with a. I could make this my pick of the week. I'm gonna make this other one my pick of the week, but I could make this my pick of the week, and I will leave it as a as a non-pick of the week. So I have recently become very excited about basically a whole suite of them, but I'm gonna pick one as a non-pick of the week. Yahoo News Digest. Have you seen this one?
No.
So this
Yahoo doing really good mobile stuff?
They're doing amazing mobile stuff.
Way to go, Yahoo.
Amazing balls. So this it's called News Digest. Here's what I like about it. So in the morning and at night, they give you 7 stories that you need to read. That's it. So you get your 7 stories at morning, and you just swipe through them. 1, 2, 3. It's like from 7 different topics.
Nice interface too.
Oh yeah, great.
Very good looking on the mobile. Looks good.
You get your 10. You get your 7. It says all done.
You're done.
Gives you a little funny fact at the end, and then And then
what does it do? Like ping you? Like with
yeah,
the
it does. In the
thing
morning, it says your meeting, and then look, this is my favorite. It tells you. It says a countdown to when the next one comes out.
That's nice.
And then you can go back and say, oh, what was yesterday's morning one?
Oh, I see.
And you could read that one.
Yeah, Yahoo's been doing a lot with
They have.
mobile stuff. Even their website has been very optimized for mobile viewing, I've noticed.
All right, so we're kind of doing a mega pick here. The other one is the new Yahoo Weather is unbelievable.
Look at them going like...
Why? I mean,
Marissa Meyer was very much talking about this at Dreamforce, by the way.
This is one of the nicest mobile apps.
Ooh, look at all the information you get
and
there
look,
on one
and it
screen.
pulls in pictures from Flickr of local areas.
Sure.
It is... There's San Fran. Let's go New York. Of course, there's New York.
Ooh.
And the one on the iPad, yeah, and the one on the iPad is even better.
Well, yeah. Ooh,
So
this is a nice picture.
So anyway,
This picture looks familiar.
Those are my two nut picks.
Looks like it's taken from close to our neighborhood.
I really like the way that the people are designing now for the phones.
Yeah, this is looking good.
They're doing some good stuff. And my pick of the week actually follows this too. My pick of the week has a very...
I have to download your pick of the week.
Yeah. Well, there's two versions. There's two things.
I need to grab that onto my iPad. So anyway...
Speaking of going mobile...
Facebook paper. Let's go mobile. Let's go anti-mobile.
That's what the SIG-GUI was.
All right.
I'm setting it up for you.
I killed it.
Yeah,
so I got an email.
Yes.
From,
you are an administrator of a Salesforce org.
That's right. I got an email from Salesforce on February 6th, which was yesterday, telling me that I need to be aware that somebody in some org that I'm an administrator of...
Because you're administrator of like 700 orgs.
Can't tell you which one it is. I could probably find out, but I don't really care that much. I do care, but not enough to figure it out. They're notifying me to an important change regarding the availability of Salesforce Classic and Salesforce and Chatter Mobile for BlackBerry.
Which is?
Basically telling me that come summer 14, which is the next release, these two applications, Salesforce Classic and Chatter Mobile for BlackBerry, will no longer be officially supported by Salesforce.com. They will work. However, if you call and say you have an issue with them, they will likely hang up on you. They'll be like, that sounds terrible, but that is no longer a supported application. So it's weird because they're basically recommending that you migrate people to the Salesforce One app on a supported mobile device.
Which isn't BlackBerry.
Right. So they're basically saying not only should you move to a different app, but you should get a new device completely. And they just point you to like introducing Salesforce One, like a web page.
But not for BlackBerry.
But not for BlackBerry. So they gave you a reason. They said, here's why we're retiring it. The legacy BlackBerry OS platform, which they threw in the legacy BlackBerry OS platform. Like, what if you have a brand new BlackBerry? It's like already legacy according to Salesforce. On which these apps run is being replaced by the new BlackBerry 10 platform, which does not support older legacy apps.
Right.
So, according to their data, blah, 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 they basically don't need to build Salesforce One for BlackBerry, and they're not going to.
Because I'm
reading through the tea leaves here. It's not happening.
I'm showing what the use base of BlackBerry is. I mean, I walk into clients now who are like in financial services where you would see nothing but a billion BlackBerries. Yeah. Now, I walked in the other day, iPhones all around the table.
Everyone's got their own device.
Well, no, then they got the double iPhones because some companies still won't.
A lot of people are doing the bring your own, and they have a good technology set up to allow you to sort of just hook into whatever you want to bring, which is how I would do it.
Even adding to this story in the iOS, if you've been watching your updates to iOS, as they now come in, because iOS 7, they all come in automatically.
Yeah, they do. I have not been watching them.
Right,
it's
because no one watches them anymore because they come in automatically. I go, you know what? I like the way they do it. I was scared originally that like they wouldn't allow you to see what they are because I like seeing like the new features. Yes. Sometimes it's brand new
I hate
stuff.
when it just says bug fixes.
Right.
That's my least favorite.
Look at the new icon for Salesforce Classic.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's like...
it's like
grayed out.
Great.
It's like
don't touch me.
Even if you find it, you probably
it's a dark
use
cloud.
This. Don't use
It's not a happy cloud. It's a dark
it.
cloud.
So
I actually went to go use it when the logo changed. I was like, oh, I'll log into that.
Right.
because my Salesforce One app on my phone is actually connected to a dev org for other reasons. Hint, hint.
Hint, hint.
But
we've talked about it, but it's okay.
But I just log in through the web, and the web experience for Salesforce One on the browser in Safari is fantastic.
Really?
It's just like you're in the app. It's just the browser.
Because you are.
Exactly. But when I went to Classic, it was like I needed to reauthorize the whole thing, and I was like, forget it. Like, it needed to download all that stuff. You know, it like needs to like set itself up. I was like, no, this is wrong. This is all wrong. You shouldn't have to do anything. I just want you to work now and whatever.
Registering.
That whole thing. Registering, downloading, activating, that whole deal. I was like, no, this is not how it works. Very old school. Don't want it.
I went Jason.Arkus.
That's not my name. That's not going to work. All right, let's move along.
Yeah, let's move on.
So Salesforce is killing RIM, basically. Not really killing support for.
Well, I mean, this is what's so interesting is that this company, and we talk about this all the time, these companies that dominate and will
totally
go to one.
Dominated.
Dominate. Literally, the business mobile atmosphere was dominated by BlackBerry. I remember when I worked at the company, shall not be named, and we had 365,000 employees, and we were like the number one at the time customer of BlackBerry.
Remember when we piloted Palm Treos?
Yes.
You and I were one of 75 people on Palm Treo.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember at the time the head IT guy was like, no, BlackBerry is gonna, like, they're the one.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, well, all right, but there should be options. And it's funny because about 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said, wow, he was kind of right. Like, Treo is completely gone.
Right.
But now looking at it, right now, it's like, but all we did was set up the infrastructure for any device to really connect to the mail server using good. When I look back, it's like, oh, maybe that was a good move to actually set that infrastructure up. But clearly it was, not meant to be.
Yeah.
I wonder what those big companies are doing. Like, they're the only ones left on, like, RIM.
I don't know. They're all on good. I mean,
and then when you want, like, mobile apps in your enterprise, what do?
You build on Salesforce One. I don't know.
But you can't. Like, what if you...
All right. So speaking of companies that once dominated but now... are now struggling.
Dominated the universe.
So Microsoft actually recently... So they went through a whole ousting of Ballmer. Sort of. I guess he retired or moved on. And they hired a new CEO whose name I don't know.
Satya Nadella.
That's it. But the bigger news was Satya went to Mr. Bill Gates and said, can you help me out here?
That's a smart person.
Right. And so now Bill Gates has become, he's not, he's an advisor.
He's the chief technology advisor.
Right. He's come in to help advise them get off the ground and, sort of redo, because they're just sort of struggling. They're struggling in almost every market. I even think the PS3 is doing, or the PS4 is, I don't know where that is, but I think that the PS4 is doing well.
PS4 is doing
against
better than the
Xbox One. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think
it's a little surprising to me.
I think they have a lot more content right now. So what I've heard from the...
See, as an Apple person, I wouldn't care. I buy one or the other based on, like, which is the better console.
But as like better.
There is
What's better
in terms of services that are actually on the console, not the games, but the services.
They're all the same.
Well, can I stream the same stuff on both consoles?
Yeah.
Really? Can I?
Yeah.
Because I remember on the PlayStation, you used to be able to stream, like, the NFL. But I know Microsoft has this huge deal with the NFL now.
Neither one have that package right now.
Well, if anyone's going to get it, it's Microsoft.
Probably.
Because they're all sitting there with their Surface tablets.
Yes.
But if I was like a Microsoft person, I had my Surface tablet, my Windows phone, and maybe I have a PC or a laptop or something, I'd buy the Xbox because I feel like it should all sort of just talk to
but it's
each
also
other.
a gaming console. It's like your Wii never talked to anything else, and yet you bought a Wii.
Yeah, but that's a Nintendo.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
now I'm in more of a networked world where I would expect my stuff to just talk to each other. I would almost expect me to be able, if I had a Surface, to sort of exchange the games between the two.
Yeah,
I should be able to. I feel.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not a game person.
I have a PS3. I bought it just for the NFL. I play, we play
it's
games.
A Blu-ray player.
It's a Blu-ray player. I'm waiting to figure out which way. I mean, I'm so NFL driven that I'm waiting to see which one wins out, and then that's the one I'll buy.
Well, you're going to get an Xbox.
Well,
I'll tell
if
you.
it's Xbox.
Totally.
I know. Well, it looks that way, but that has not been announced, so we don't know. Anywho, Gates goes back, and so what do you think? Good job. Could help?
Absolutely.
Will help?
Can't hurt. How could bringing Bill Gates back hurt? There's no way that hurts you. Can only help you.
I feel like here's the only thing that I could think that hurts you. So here's the way I was spinning it. And as I thought about Bill Gates, I don't feel like Bill Gates was ever the great idea man. Bill Gates was very intelligent, or is very intelligent, great business person, knew where to go in certain markets. But I don't think of him as like an innovator, right? Like again, you think of a Steve Jobs. I know these are always comparing the two. Steve Jobs came back to Apple and saved Apple by innovating and creating new products and whatever. But that was what he did before he left Apple. He was that guy. And I know I just read his book, so it's kind of in my head. Bill Gates was never that guy. Bill Gates was a very sly business person and knew how to manipulate it and knew how to build out, the distribution and creating the,
There's nothing wrong with what you're saying, though.
But I'm saying that I don't feel like he's the guy who's can. What Microsoft is suffering from is an innovation trench. They have not been able to do anything that they haven't bought or stolen in. And I know this is probably harsh. I'm going to get feedback, but that's my gut. Is that I don't feel like they have innovated on any platform in a long time. You maybe go to Xbox One. There are some innovative features in that.
Not really fair for you to say.
Why?
You haven't tried any of the new stuff.
I do try them.
Have you held the Surface?
Yes.
In your hands?
Yes.
With the keyboard and the whole nine?
With the one of the stores.
You've held it, you've played with
Best
it
Buy, yeah.
for more than 2 minutes?
The new one with, 2 minutes, maybe
okay.
5,
so,
10 minutes.
Not really fair.
Yeah, but I can look at the sales.
You played with the Windows Phone?
I don't
played with Windows 8?
No, well, Windows 8 is on all the services. That is Windows 8. And I have Windows 8. I installed Windows 8 on one of my Parallels instances, so I played with it. Honestly, I was just like, oh, God, get me out of here. Where's my start menu? which is what I feel like everybody says. It's like, oh, these tiles, they're so cool. But you know what I'm saying.
But that's not very... What you're saying is the opposite of innovation. It's like, I want my old thing back, please, because I don't know how to use this. This is so innovative. I have no idea how to even use this.
That's the problem with Microsoft and their innovation. It's like their innovation was to sort of... It was to revamp this whole thing, but not do it in a way that,
But if you had no preconceived notions of how Windows worked and you just looked at that thing, could you have figured it out?
I guess.
Because from someone who goes from Windows to Mac,
right,
there's no start menu. You have to figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
And without because you don't have the preconceived notion of a start menu, because you're like, I'm going to a new thing. This brand new thing called Mac OS X.
I understand. But
so you went to a brand new thing, and you're like, but this is Windows. Where's my start menu?
So Windows 8 tiles, okay, so that's one in the last 10 years. Now let's name 2 more.
I don't know, because I don't follow.
Well, you follow the
thing.
Industry. You follow. I can name Google innovations. I
use Google stuff. I use Apple stuff.
You
I
use Microsoft stuff.
I don't really use
Excel
Microsoft stuff
every day of my life.
Yeah, but I use Mac Office. It's like an afterthought. It's like, we have to do this.
All right.
I don't feel like they care to innovate on the Mac version of Excel.
Bing. I could just go through all these sort of products that they have and just say, oh, you went here. And I don't know. I
feel like it's an unfair criticism because you're not going to jump to go use some Microsoft stuff.
If someone came to me and showed me and showed me stuff that I was like, oh, look, this is incredible. I have been known to go look at different devices and go, oh, that's really interesting. I love that stuff. Yeah, I'm very tied to Apple.
I just don't feel like I could, even if, again, I'm really just playing the devil's advocate here. I don't feel like if I could come to you and say, let me show you this experience with a Windows Phone,
right,
a Surface, and a desktop PC, and say, watch how the 3 of these things really work together. On the, and how much better they are than your MacBook Pro, your iPad, and your iPhone, and just show you how they all work together. And if they, I don't know, but even if they were awesome, I don't think you would even try to change.
No. If they were awesome in terms of like the great functionality that actually I couldn't get on the Mac platform, and I was then and brought something to my life that I need, and I was like, oh, that does something that I have no workarounds for. I have no whatever. It is literally a game-changing moment. Then I would definitely consider it. I mean, I would definitely like investigate it. Yes, it would take a momentous thing to get me off of it, but we'll talk about that in my pick of the week. But it happens. I've been known to make gigantic switches in my
I also
technology.
think that there were two places where they in the enterprise they have, I still think they have a very strong hold in the enterprise in certain areas.
And where?
Well, how many enterprises are not using the Office suite and Outlook and Exchange?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really.
Exchange is probably there. It's probably even more than Office now, because
even still, everyone's got Excel on their desktop.
Yep.
And they've got Outlook and they're using Exchange.
Yeah, they got that.
SharePoint.
So then there you go.
There.
So here's my question:
And
name
then,
4 things that have happened to Exchange in the last 20 years.
It's a server. I have no idea.
Google puts out new innovative ways to do and deal with email.
I haven't used Outlook in a really long time, so I don't know what it can and can't do in terms of like the newest Outlook. I have no clue what it can and can't do in terms of mail as an app, as a client mail app. And then I think in on the other side, I think on the consumer side, they are a more affordable option. Like if you want a Windows PC, it is cheaper than buying an Apple PC.
Right.
If
At
you
that
want,
point, they're like, well, then
if you want a Surface, it's cheaper than an iPad.
Right. But
unless you want the super high-end Surface, and then you're basically buying a laptop.
Well, that's the thing. But if you're at the cheap tablet, okay, why not go get an Android, Kindle Fire or a Android tablet or whatever.
There's a lot more competitors in the market space now than there used to.
I just don't feel like the innovation is there again, and that's sort of in a technology world. They're sort of struggling with not being able to innovate.
Well, maybe Billy will bring him back.
Well, I think it's interesting. I just that's my whole point. Is I feel like while I think he could probably bring something to the company, maybe even energize the troops or whatever.
Oh, it's definitely like an energize the troops situation.
I don't feel like he has been someone who has shown incredible innovation over the last 20 years. I even read his biography many, many years ago, and he talked about the virtual wallet and all sorts of stuff.
But do you remember what Mark Benioff said about him during that Benioff?
Yeah, said he was
thing?
the happiest he's ever been ever since he left Microsoft.
That's right.
So here he goes. He's a miserable guy.
Now he's gonna be miserable.
The funny thing, of course, which is a tiny story, we'll move on to our pick of the week, which is that his first day back in the office, he spent the entire day trying to install 8.1. Like he couldn't even get it to work. He had to call like VPs and whatever to install.
How does his computer not just be brand new with 8.1 on it? Like why would they give him, or did he bring his own device?
8.1 upgrade. Microsoft founder struggled for hours to install the 8.1 upgrade. Whoa. He had to call in like.
That's not a good endorsement. Never good.
That's terrible.
Never good.
He summoned the new CEO who attempted to help with installation, but with no success. Yeah. That's just funny. Like, why does that even get
Why would
out?
you get the CEO? Go get the tech guy. Like, what's the CEO going to do?
I know, but like his first day back, and he's like, what have you done in my company?
That shouldn't be in the news.
Yeah. What have you done in my company? All right, let's make our CloudFocus.
That's a smear job.
It's a smear job. Let's go make our pick of the week. Speaking of smears.
I'm going to pick an Olympic app. Because the Olympics officially started yesterday.
I'm going to predict that in 3 months you're going to pick a World Cup app.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was looking at some of the apps, and this one is there's not a whole lot of functionality to it. It's just a free, fun thing that you'll play with for like 20 minutes, and then that's it. Like it's not going to change your life. It's not super useful.
Will it bring water to your hotel room if you're in Sochi?
Apparently not.
Oof.
Apparently, if you want to go to the bathroom, you have to sit next to somebody and hold their hands.
Oh, that's one. And that you can't
if you
flush
want to
toilet
use
paper.
the toilet paper, you can put it in a bucket. next to the toilet.
I was talking to someone the
How
other
is
day.
this possible that this is the Olympics?
I don't know. I don't know how they got it, first of all, because I was saying...
It's supposed to be like some resort area.
I was talking to someone the other day, or last night I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about the Olympics, and we live in a neighborhood, you and I, that and New York went after the summer 2012 Olympics.
That's right.
It was huge, and it came down to the final two, and we lost to London.
That's right.
But it was like we had to do plans. I remember I followed the whole thing because it was going to be my neighborhood, and they were going to build the Olympic Village there.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I'm actually glad they didn't.
Yes,
but whatever.
me too. What's going up there now is better.
But what the point is that it was such a huge thing with plans and architecture, and you had to have all this stuff. How did these guys win this and like then not build?
They had $50 billion. 50 billion.
They couldn't finish hotels.
I don't understand it. But anyway, this is not to
one last comment.
Bash Sochi.
Nothing worse than like you talk about. Okay, so toilet paper, putting it in the bucket next to you,
That's
right?
pretty
Not flushing
awful.
it. It's pretty bad. But what happens when you travel generally? Like, what kind of things happen to you as you eat different foods and whatever? Yeah, that's terrible.
Oh, that kind of stuff doesn't really happen to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, have you never been to Sochi?
No. I don't know what they're eating in Sochi.
I guess you've never been. Well,
So-
go to a third world country.
Yeah,
and,
then
yeah.
we'll, but I don't
Not Mexico.
But Sochi's not. I mean, it's a first world country.
And they're also making snow. It's
That's like
ridiculous.
a real country.
Out of all the places in Russia to hold the Winter Olympics,
I
let's
know.
hold it the
It's like
warm
in a
place.
tropical,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so there, Visa, who's
Yes.
a big sponsor of the Olympics, came out with this app called the Visa 360 Cam.
Okay, I'm gonna go take a look now.
And it's free.
I like free.
And all it is like they have like 7 or 8 videos on there of U.S. athletes who are going through like their training exercises for the Olympics.
Okay.
And they put 360-degree cameras on like their helmets or on their heads.
Okay.
And you get to watch their entire like training exercise with the 360-degree view. You can like spin your phone around and see like all around what's going on. So
From
if you
their
can
point of view.
from their point of view.
Okay.
So they have 3 cameras. One is like you see it as they see it.
Right.
One is you watch them, and the other is pointing up at their face.
Okay.
So like you can watch their facial expressions as they're doing it. So like imagine a ski jumper.
Yeah.
You're basically like watching them go down the ski jump, and this one landed in a pool. I guess
Right.
she was like practicing and they landed in a pool.
Right.
But you can do it for like a freestyle skier who's doing like a half pipe. So you can watch the skier kind of, and as they do their jumps and their twists, you're kind of jumping and twisting with them. It was kind of fun. You do it, you watch it like a few times and then you're done with it. But I was looking for some good Olympic apps, and instead of like ones that like medal trackers and this, that, and the other, I'm sure NBC has a really good one to watch stuff live and whatnot, but I went with this one, Visa 360.
Visa 360.
It's just a fun. There's nothing to it really.
It's nothing. Do not even try it.
Like,
There's
don't
nothing
even download it.
Don't even download
Whatever.
it. All right.
I won't even.
Well, mine is a story. When I was a little person.
You're gonna make this into a big deal, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But I'm going to make a pick. So we have, cloud computing company. Basically, everything we do. We don't have servers. We don't have any hardware other than laptops and routers. Everything we do is in the clouds, basically. But one of the few things that we do and did do up until this point that was sort of what I would say not cloud-based was accounting. And I've always complained that I think the accounting world online has been terrible. And generally it has been very terrible. And I have evaluated QuickBooks Online years ago when we started Arkus as a way, let's look at the online version, and thinking, online, it'll be easy, we can get to it, it's all the things you want. It was terrible. 3 years ago, it was like, you had to have this one browser. It only worked this one way. It was terrible to enter stuff in, and I eventually said, no, I'm not going to do it. So recently, because of sharing of data and stuff like that, I decided to look at QuickBooks Online again, And so much so that I not only did QuickBooks Online, I migrated us from our QuickBooks Offline to QuickBooks Online.
Yeah.
And we've been using it for, I don't know, a couple weeks now, and I really, really like it.
Totally running the books.
Yep.
It's very scary.
That is very scary.
Totally running the books for my phone.
But here's some of the big features. One is, obviously, it's online, so, you can get to it from anywhere. They've made a lot of, not all of, but a lot of the features that you expect inside of QuickBooks. So they've caught up a lot. The other one was, I'm not going to make this a pick, but I might make it a pick in the future, which is there is now, because it's online, there's better abilities to sync with things like Salesforce. So there are apps to do that, and maybe that'll come up in a blog post soon enough. Anyway, but the real one that I think got me kind of interested was they have two apps, one for iPad, one for iPhone.
I'm downloading the iPhone one right now.
That allow you to log in and, obviously you can view, but it's all, you can view stuff, but it's really well designed, and it's like easy to create a customer, create an invoice.
Oh, I can mark invoices paid and stuff on there.
You can mark invoices paid. You can
when I go
send
to the bank,
them.
I can just click.
It'll generate the invoice, put it as a PDF from your iPad.
It's going to make my job a lot easier.
Yes. So anyway, QuickBooks Online, it's many different prices. They start with like a $16.99 and it goes up. You will pay more in the end for QuickBooks Online than you would if you bought the software. And I think that's pretty much the case of anything except for probably like Google. Like, you don't pay more. Like $50 a year. What can you buy for $50 a year? But like, even CRMs or stuff, you pay more over the life of it.
It depends on
upgrades and things like that.
And scale.
Right.
So, there's probably somewhere in the middle where if you have this many users, it now costs more to subscribe to a service than it does to own the thing and just scale up your hardware.
So it's not like, I wouldn't say it's a cheaper option. It is definitely an easier option, and there's great stuff like you can let your accountant log in, give them a login and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm kind of back. I'm impressed with Intuit. They've been a company that has really disappointed me in the past. I've been using their Quick In software for almost 20 years now, and I continue to use it. And then how about this? After using QuickBooks Online, I went to see where's their Quicken Online.
It's called Mint.
No, they killed it. They had a Quicken Online.
Now it's called Mint.
Right, but I was looking for the pay version. I was willing to pay. Like, if you had one that was like $10 a month or $5 a month, I was like, all right, I'm in. If it's good,
go use Mint.
Yeah, well, Mint is free. And I've made that my pick of the week. All right, so that's it. QuickBooks Online. And again, there's an iPad and iPhone version that really make it super useful. Speaking of super useful things, why don't you follow Justin at Just Edelstein, me at Jason M. Atwood, or Arkus Inc. on the Twitter, Facebook.com/Arkus Inc., Dreamforce Portal Group, Success Community Group. That group is getting huge now. LinkedIn, you can follow the company on LinkedIn where we post all this stuff. We're in Google+. And always, please remember to go to iTunes and leave us a review there. That really makes our day. We appreciate it. You can also shoot us an email or hit us up in one of the chatter communities. More than happy to say hey. Until next week, we'll be back with, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll figure it out. Maybe more of the same. Maybe some of the Olympic stuff that's going on. Maybe some Cloud Olympic news.
We'll see.
This is Justin Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.